army thought the experiment was a failure. That their drug didn't work. But it just took a little time to turn you into... Deathstroke.
Hello and welcome to DC Fandome, and you're watching the Deathstroke Knights&Dragons panel. My name is Mark Bernardin. I've written on TV shows like Castle Rock and Carnival Row, and currently I'm on Star Trek Picard. I also co-host some podcasts, Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith, Battlestar Galactica with Tricia Helfer, and over the next 40-plus minutes, we're going to chat with the folks who brought you Deathstroke Knights&Dragons, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, DC and Blue Ribbon Content's latest production.
You're a mercenary.
I'm a knight, like the ones in our favorite book. Roaming a dangerous world. And I don't want those dragons to hurt you, ever again.
Deathstroke Knights&Dragons, the movie, which is now available on digital and Blu-ray combo pack, was produced in a dual format. Part of the film was initially released on animated shorts. This feature-length film has a runtime of 87 minutes, meaning the film has nearly 50 minutes of never-before-seen content. It's rated R for bloody violence, gore, language, disturbing images, and some sexual content. Basically, all the good stuff. Joining me today in the Fandome are Sung Jin An, the director, who previously worked on Nico and the Sword of Light TV series, animation director on the Legend of Korra video game, and making his feature film debut with Deathstroke. Sasha Alexander, the voice of Addie Wilson, a veteran actress, best known for her roles on TV series Rizzoli and Isles, Shameless, and NCIS. Chris J. Alex, the voice of Jackal. His resume boasts a fine mix of on-camera and voiceover work, including providing a main cast voice for Thundercats Roar, and he's currently in Netflix's Extraction from the Russo Bros.
Yeah, it's actually pronounced Jay, Chris J. Alex. I just like you so much I didn't want to correct you, but it's just Jay.
Man.
Jay.
I feel awful.
No, everyone does it. It's all good. I spell horribly. I just say it what I'm saying.
And Griffin Puatu, voice of Addie Wilson's son, Joseph, and the ultimate hive weapon, Jericho. Griffin's career covers a wide swath of voiceover work for animation, anime, and video games, most notably for Beastars. Hey, guys, how are you?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I get to take a pause now. How's everybody doing?
I'm all right. I'm adjusting.
It's all we can ask for, man. Adjusting. The best we can. So listen, Sung, let's start with you a little bit. Tell me what it is about Slade that makes him so attractive to you as a character. What does he let you do, story-wise, thematically, that another character wouldn't?
Right. Well, when I first, got to read the script, I started brainstorming about the storytelling and working with Slade. I think the most appealing thing is we all know Deathstroke, Slade Wilson, as this cold-hearted, killer, bad guy, all that stuff. But I think this movie really features his broken heart. And that's essentially what attracted me to him the most, his broken heart, because of the dealings with his family and how it intertwines with his professional life. And it really was a big motivational factor for the film.
Did you get to work at all with J.M. DeMatteis, legendary comic book author and animation writer?
We did get to collaborate, but it was mainly through emails back and forth. I didn't get the honor to actually meet him in person. But, still hoping the future may give me an opportunity. But yeah, we collaborate definitely throughout the film, but I've yet to give him a good handshake.
That seems like a very common refrain these days. Given the dual format, how does that dual format change the way you approach storytelling?
Yeah, it did actually create a bit of a challenge, and it did have, made me decide to change some of the approach for the storytelling because obviously my first priority was approaching this as a full-length feature film, and then I had to go and look at certain moments of how they would, begin and end for the shorter episode format. So it's like mini cliffhangers that can stand alone on its own, but doesn't interrupt the overall flow of the full feature.
And when you first read the script, had the voice cast been attached yet, or was it still kind of pie in the sky?
It was definitely pie in the sky. So I didn't know that I would be working with the wonderful people here today on the call, or who else would be casted on. So it was definitely a lovely surprise as we kept going forward.
Sung, when you first read the script, What were you looking for when you started to cast the roles, especially from the voice actors assembled?
Well, I mean, definitely no shades given. I feel like the cast that was brought on really hit the notes because, reading just from a bunch of words on paper describing these characters, you just have broad stroke ideas of, oh yeah, Slade's, he's definitely the experience, grizzle, badass character. Adeline, also badass, takes care of her own. So you kind of expect a certain, quality to her voice that just sounds like you don't want to mess with her. Joseph and Jackal too. Like, I feel like the way they were written translate really well to the final cast members that voiced them. And pretty much, I wasn't surprised in a good way, from reading it to hearing the final voices.
Okay, let's watch some of the exceptional art direction, fight choreography, and the vocal performances of Michael Chiklis and Chris J. Alex in the upcoming clip pitting Deathstroke against Jackal.
My son. It's fine. Just a bargaining chip. Accept the bargain and he doesn't get hurt. I won't work with Hive. So you said the last time I asked, and I respect that. Unfortunately, my superiors don't.
Oh, damn. It makes... I've seen it, and now I want to see it again.
Yeah. It took me a while to train to get that good. But,
all cardio.
Good. Yeah, we did good.
Well, then, Chris, let's start with you, because I think, I want to talk to all of the actors sort of about the research that you did into both your character and the Deathstroke legacy itself, before stepping behind the mic. How familiar were you going in?
Well, I'll be honest. I knew who Deathstroke was, because I watched a lot of CW shows. Meaning I watched them kind of casually. But it's weird. I grew up in a house of comic books. But ironically, I never read any of them because I always had to move them from house to house. So it was like I never wanted to read the comic books. I just kind of associated them with work. But fast forward years later, it's kind of a treat and an honor growing up in a household like that because now I'm seeing the stories unfold and it makes more sense why everyone loves the stories. But going to Deathstroke, I mean, we know he's a cold-blooded killer. We know that side of him, but just to see him, see what happens when that person, goes home, when they take off the mask. That's something that's very interesting to me. And seeing that Jackal is kind of cut from the same cloth, they are both killers. It's just one has, limitations and, one has, a hard no on things. And the other one is like, I actually don't. I'm a little bit more liberated. So it's kind of, it's interesting to see the dichotomies between, Deathstroke going home, being the family man, and then, the Jackal who's kind of like, very much, if you have loose threads, I'm going to hang you with them, as you can tell right now.
Sasha, how about you? How deep into research did you go?
Well, I'm not a huge comic book specialist, let's say. Like I've read a lot of graphic novels, and I was grateful that I was able to see some renderings and some early, drawings and things that they started working on, so that there was a bit of an idea. I think, Chris, did you have the same?
No, I had no idea what the Jackal would look like. I
Really?
saw. I think after it was announced, I saw the first episode on CWC. I was like, it kind of popped up. It was like, oh, well, I know what I'm doing with my Friday. I'm
Right.
going to do this.
Right.
Forget all my other plans. But yeah,
I've seen a little bit. I mean, not close to anything the final product, but enough that there was like a physical, I think after our first session, it definitely rocked me into kind of wrapping my head around it. And then before we met for the second, I came in like dukes up, like ready to go.
You became Adeline.
It was really fun.
Actually, I had a question for you. I mean, because you come from the discipline of on camera. How do you adjust when they take essentially most of your tools away? Like they take away, your mask. They take away. There's a lot of tools that we have as on camera actors that they take away when you're doing animation. I kind of wanted to know what was your process of dealing with that?
It's such a good question. I think as actors, you're right. We have so many things like costume, for instance, is one of the first things that we kind of put our shoes in and we kind of go, what am I feeling? And who is this person? So I found it quite liberating, Chris. Like I really liked the idea. I mean, I left like super pumped, like I started having a voice. I was like, like in my car, like ready to go. I felt like it's thrilling to be able to not have to use those tools or tricks that maybe are your things that you know to do on camera, but to just really rely on your voice and your emotion and what's going on. I think it is tricky though, especially in the action scenes. You kind of want to punch and you want to move, right? I mean, we're used to be physical and I couldn't. And I was like, what do I do with that? How do I do it? So sometimes, I mean, we would get there, but I definitely felt like that was a challenge. That was hard.
Listen, Chris, I'm going to need you to keep asking questions if they occur to you.
No, it's just something that I always wanted to just thought. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.